All right, boils and ghouls. I know we're doing a watch party of this on Friday, but something's been pulling me. I even made a post the other day or so saying that if anyone wanted to do it early and do it like the other night. And then I went on Tubi, and I'm like, what am I? Maybe I'll do a video, maybe I'll just relax. And then I just see Scarface again staring at me. Guys, this is a 3-hour movie. So just keep that in mind. But this film is an absolute masterpiece to me in every single way. This is another reason why I gotta redo my top 40 film list, because doing it at 5 a.m. when you can't sleep was not the best idea, and I left a top 10 off. I left this movie off. Like, this should definitely be in there. It's so hard to do that. But this is based off the novel from 1930, loosely based, and the same off the film from, what is it, 32? Howard Hawks and somebody else wrote it. And we got Oliver Stone with the screenplay. We have Brian De Palma directing. This is the first movie, actually, that I've ever talked about on the channel, directed by De Palma. And it's not even a horror movie. But this is just one of the most iconic drug lord, like, crime films ever made. The score by Giorgio Moroder is perfect. It's so good. The synth stuff, the score parts that are mostly used when Gina and Tony are talking, every piece of the score is brilliant in this movie. And then you have the cast here. You have Steven Bauer as Manny. What a great character and performance that is. You have Michelle Pfeiffer, who's just gorgeous as Elvira. And just the whole dynamic between her and Al Pacino in this movie is just phenomenal. You got, what's her, I always forget, Marie, something with an M. That's Italian. As Gina, the sister, she does a great job too. Pretty girl too. You have Mark Margolis as the hitman for Sosa. He's got a lot of movies under his belt and TV and everything. I mean, he was Requiem for a Dream, and then he got popular again in old age as Hector Salamanca on Breaking Bad. He's excellent in this. He's terrifying in this. Robert Loggia as Frank. Everyone in this movie gives their absolute all in their performances here. The cinematography is gorgeous. This movie in Miami and it looks beautiful. All the neon lights, the actual music, the 80s music during some parts in the nightclubs and stuff. All of that sounds great. The sound design is fantastic too. This is a perfect film. And I'll fight the fuck out of anybody who argues it. I'm just kidding. But this is, for me, Brian De Palma's best film, like without a doubt. And he's made a lot of great ones. Best. Of course, how can you not mention Al Pacino? I think it's one of the greatest performances ever in a film. Ever. How about that? Would anyone want to debate that? I think that Al Pacino's performance here as Tony Montana is one of the greatest film portrayals of a character ever in cinema history. The way he talks, his accent, his mannerisms, his energy, his charisma, his way of looking terrifying when he is very intimidating. The whole scene with Frank, we'll get there. But just what an amazing performance. And it's sad to think that in the next decade or two, barely two, like around there, we're going to be losing so many legendary actors and directors and everything. Like John Carpenter, Al Pacino, Robert De Niro, like it's on and on and on. And it's a sad thought, but hey, life goes on, right? So let's get into Brian De Palma's 1983 masterpiece, Scarface. So just from the opening of this movie, we get the great text. May of 1980, Fidel Castro, was letting some people from Cuba go stay with their families in the United States. Boats headed there from the United States to pick, and we had a whole bunch of them come back to the United States, to Florida. Estimated 25,000 had criminal records. I mean, it's crazy, but it happened. And Tony Montana is one of them. with Giorgio Moroder's synth score, how it starts off. Oh, it's beautiful. Also, I saw this movie very young. Me and my father used to watch movies all the time, and he would just show me all his favorites from over his life, and this was one of them. And I've seen this movie so many times in my life, it's not even funny. But so is every rapper, wannabe gangster, and actual gangster. Everybody wants to be Tony Montana. For the ending, the opening montage is great. The 80s club music playing with the, you see the refugees coming from Cuba to Miami where they get interrogated, decided whether you're going to go into the United States and become a citizen, or if you're getting booted your ass back to Cuba. And then we see Tony Montana have his little interview, and just right from this scene, it should have blown every single person in the theater. Fortunately, I didn't get to see it there. Away. Just in the first 5 minutes of this movie. Oh, Gina is Mary Elizabeth Mastrantonio. That's why I never remember it. That's one long fucking name. But she's great. Just his whole sense of humor, Tony. Just all of his lines in that opening interrogation scene. The humor to Tony's character. With him getting asked, like, are you homosexual? Do you like to dress up like a woman? What the fuck is wrong with this guy? Is he kidding me or what? Well, that's hilarious. Where'd you get the scar tough guy eating pussy? Where the hell am I going to get a scar like that? Eating pussy? All of that is just hilarious. So, I mean, Tony is just there's so much depth to this character that Al Pacino brought to this role. And that's why it's one of the greatest performances ever, in my opinion. And then just the whole way that he argues his point. And he ends up arguing and winning for himself. And saying, well, let me just talk to this guy for a second. Just he has this way of talking to people that you could see just from the beginning of this film that this guy is going to possibly rule the world. The world is yours, that we see references to a few times in this movie. I love the scene right after that when Manny and Tony are on the bus on their way to Freedom Town, and he's telling them, I told you to tell them you're in a sanitarium, not sanitarium. All that is great. So they end up at the little camp, I guess, until they decide that you're worthy of being a citizen, and they end up striking a deal with, it was like somebody worked for Castro, but then Castro didn't trust him anymore, so now he was coming into that camp that day, and he has to be assassinated. And Tony and Manny are the ones who have to do it, and then they'll get a green card, a job in Miami, and of course they're going to do it. I mean, you would have to. I mean, come on. It's life or death here for these people back then. I mean, they have to get away from Castro. So I think most of them would kill for the opportunity to get away from all that and get into a better country. So things are not going well it's going a lot fucking better than Cuba, I'm sure. But they're not going as well as they'd like things to be going, Manny and Tony. And they're working at a restaurant, just cooking food and shit like that. They're making shit money, so they end up getting this deal. And this is just such an iconic scene. I mean, this has been parodied a million times. It's been paid homage to. It's in Grand Theft Auto Vice City in a random house. If you look through it, you see this whole actual hotel room. It's just an iconic scene where he has to go pick up cocaine. A lot of it. And I love just the tension here. He walks in, Manny's flirting with the girl outside. That's all he cares about, man, is fucking. That's all this dude cares about. He don't care. He loves money and power and all that shit, but nowhere near Tony. This guy just likes just picking up some strange every now and then, whenever possible. So Tony ends up going in with the other guy. I always forget his name. And you got the creepy woman on the bed laying there. Good idea, pretend you're watching TV and you got a fucking gun right underneath so you could spring it on people. And they end up falling into this trap after both of them don't trust each other. And then the nameless dude gets handcuffed to the shower and the chainsaw comes out. and he gets fucking mutilated. And then they're gonna do the same thing to Tony. Then Manny comes in after getting undistracted because the girl walks away from him, and him and the little dude, I love that guy. They come in, automatic weapons, they blow away the woman, the other guy, but he gets a shot in on Manny, but it goes in and out, he's fine. Tony ends up getting the upper hand during that whole distraction, blows another guy away, and the dude with the chainsaw, Hector, he goes and chainsaws through the wall and ends up going through another person's room, crashes through the window, falls, and then the way that this peaks when he ends up bloodied and stuff, and he ends up walking into the street, broad daylight, in front of mad people. Are you serious? And this just shows the balls that Tony has. He don't give a fuck. This guy, after he just tried killing him, no, now you're dying. Like, that's just how it works. You try to kill me, I'm killing you. It doesn't matter who's watching, who sees me, if they got it on video. And I love the lines he delivers. So he's like, what did he say? Cabron, oi, your turn. Shoots him. Awesome. Gets in the car, they fucking zoom away. What a infamous scene. Very lucky for them. Unlike the response time for the police in GTA, they take a lot longer to get here. So they're able to get away and not get caught. And then they end up with the money they were given and the coke. So they get introduced to Frank, who is just such a great character. Robert Loggia does an amazing job in here. And like I said, there's a scene that is just, I think, one of the greatest scenes in a film for tension and suspense. And I'm sure you can guess that scene, but we'll get there. I told you this is going to be long. And let me just say something here. I just want to say thank you to those who do watch, like, full videos and stuff that I put out. I knew when I started this channel very, very well ahead of time that long form content is much more of a niche thing than, shorter content, 5-10 minute reviews and stuff like that. I was well aware of that. I started this for me. It's my primary reason I do it and will always do it. But as it grew, all of you guys are the reason just as much. So just the fact that some of you watch consistently me talk and ramble on for fucking forever sometimes, it means so much to me. It baffles my mind, but it really does mean everything to me. So thank you guys so much. I love you. So back to Scarface, kinda. Sometimes watching this movie, it's a little hard to not think of the South Park episode where they parody Scarface, where the marijuana shops and dispensaries take over all the Kentucky Fried Chicken places, and Randy becomes a huge stoner. Like, that's his first episode where he's like really goes out there, and they're bouncing on their giant cancer testicles, and the whole subplot and B story is Cartman pretending to be Scarface and rising in the black market KFC trade and stuff. I can't help but think of certain scenes and stuff when it plays out. Anybody who doesn't know what I'm talking about, hasn't seen that episode, just search it on YouTube. It's hysterical. Then we get the dance club scene, which is great at the Babylon. Frank's talking with Tony and making friends with him, treating him like gold. And then he goes to dance with Michelle Pfeiffer. And she's just Michelle Pfeiffer, and she looks fucking stunning here. And the whole film. And Frank immediately tells the other guy, I always forget his name too, I think he's a peasant, but you get somebody like that on your side and with you, they'll break their ass for you. He's right. But Tony has his little dance with Elvira, and Tony already's trying to get little Tony in there. And how can you blame him? It's fucking Michelle Pfeiffer. Literally. The eyes, Chico, they never lie. So true, and such a great quote. And even the way it's filmed when Manny and Tony are driving, it's an obvious screen in the background and they're in a fake car, but it just looks great. Like the color usage that they put on that video in the background on that screen looks really good, and just it looks very stylish. And he starts telling Manny that Frank is soft, that he's only, he's run by Elvira, by his woman, and by booze, and that he already knows that he can take this guy out and rise up. And Tony just wants what's coming to him. The world, Chico. This is the Positive JT's Horror Discussions PSA. Know that the world is yours. Know that no matter what your dream is, keep pursuing it, and hopefully one day you will succeed and get there. Don't forget, you can do anything you put your mind to, and you do matter. This has been JT from a JT's Horror Discussions PSA, a positive version. Now, back to the movie. The whole scene at the beach is great, and like with the ice cream and all that stuff. Then we see Tony's mom and Gina, his sister, and just she's so adorable in this movie, and just I love their whole dynamic too. It's kind of weird because it's like a little borderline incestuous. Like, I don't know what the whole deal with that is, but whatever. But he stands by his family. Like, when he starts rising up, he starts trying to give money and stuff, and the mom doesn't want it because she knows it's illegal money and knows that he's a criminal. But I love the whole family dynamic here that surrounds Tony, and the fact that Manny is like a fucking brother to him. So it makes it that much more impactful near the end of the movie when he ends up killing Manny, and just seeing his reaction later when he's coked out of his mind and he's just thinking like, oh, Manny, like, why'd I do that? All of that is just, it's so well written. Like, Oliver Stone did such an amazing job writing the screenplay. But when Tony leaves and Gina is outside, Manny sees her, and he just falls in love at first sight, man. And Tony warns him and says, stay away from her, man. Like, just, that's my sister, stay away. Even though they are like brothers. And in the end, like, I really feel like if he wasn't so fucked up in the head and coked out and just insane, I think he would have been happy with them being together. Like, it's his fucking best friend. And it's his sister. He loves both of them. They're both in his life forever. Well, in an alternate universe where he doesn't get gunned down and killed, but they would have both been in your life forever. So I think he would have actually liked that. But his mind state, the way that it just crumbles as he rises and then falls in his power and success, prevents him from seeing that. So Tony and Frank's main guy end up flying down to Cochabamba, Bolivia, to meet Alexandra Sosa, the major drug lord, who is heavily modeled after Pablo Escobar. But the music here, for any fans of the rapper Immortal Technique, which I don't like 95% of rap music, it's just not my thing. The only genre really, same with country music, I don't like that shit. Most of it. But Immortal Technique has a few songs on an album that samples stuff from Scarface. And the pan flute music here is one of the samples, as well as the scene where Tony meets up with Sosa later and they say, we need you to help the Shadow dude, Mark Margolis, kill, that guy who's going around on the talk shows exposing Sosa. That whole little interview with the guy on the TV starts that song off. I don't know, just throwing it out there. If you're an Immortal Technique fan, then you'll appreciate it. And if not, then you guys don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, like usual. And then just the whole business meeting with Sosa, and I forget the actor's name, but what a great performance from him too. Like, he's excellent. He's scary, yet he also has a little bit of smugness and smirkiness to him. And he instantly likes Tony, who starts negotiating for Frank and overriding main dude there, who's saying, you're just here to back me up, shut up. And then he ends up leaving, and we get another infamous scene where he's taken on a helicopter. Sosa says, no, I'm going to keep your friend here. And I love his line when he says, I tell Frank I keep this guy on ice. And Sosa smiles. And then this guy knows he's fucked. because he's an informant. And he ends up getting hung from the helicopter, and he makes Tony look through the binoculars. I love how he just tosses the binoculars at him so he has to react and catch them. Like, yo, listen to me. Great little detail and addition there. And he says, the only things I have in this world are my balls and my word, and I don't break them for no one. I never liked that piece of shit. I never trusted him. He probably had my friend killed. He's gone. I'm still here. You want to do business, then do it. If not, then make a move. That takes fucking balls, man. To talk up to the drug lord, like, of the world, that's insane. And just the performance, like, I can't praise enough. I only say this one time. Don't fuck me, Tony. Don't you ever try to fuck me. Another brilliant quote from this movie. Omar. That's it. Omar is the informant. I don't know why I always forget that guy's name. Michelle Pfeiffer in a bathing suit by a swimming pool that looks gorgeous. Both of them. Then we're back at the Babylon Club, and he sees Gina dancing with that dude, and then he brings him into the bathroom, almost kills the guy. We get the guy Mo, forget this actor's name too, but he's fantastic as well. The crooked cop who tries to arrange with Tony a deal so that he'll, look out for him, he'll try to protect him, give him information from the department to keep his business safe, his illegal operation. And then he ends up getting what's coming to him a little bit from now. Tony disrespects Frank. And Frank says, fuck you, I'm giving you orders. He takes Elvira, gets out of there, and arranges for Tony to be killed. And that's such a great scene, man. When they're sitting there with the automatics under the napkins, and when the show goes on, they pop up and they just start spraying bullets. Tony survives, he gets out of there. And the way that he sets up the next time he sees Frank to expose that he's the one for sure who set this up is, I think, a brilliant idea and great fucking thinking by Tony. That he says to one of his lappies, his workers, says, I want you to call at this time when he knows he's going to be in there with Frank, and I want you to say, we fucked up, he got away. That way, as soon as he gets that phone call, Frank picks it up. If he says, what the fuck are you talking about, or something, then he had nothing to do with it. But since he, makes up a lie and says, that's all right, I'll be home in a couple of hours, and it shows that he's the one who did it. I think all of that is so well written. And then we have the scene where Tony comes in and has his confrontation with Frank, and he gets the phone call, gives it away. I think this scene, especially with the murals painting in the background and stuff on the wall, it looks fucking beautiful. I think this scene is one of the most tense scenes and suspenseful scenes in a film. Just the way that it builds up and the music builds in the background, and Tony's killing this guy. Like, there's not a chance in the world that he's letting this guy go and letting him live, no matter what he offers him. So we know it's coming. But just the way that Logia plays it and starts breaking down after he admits that it was him, and at first he's acting, it's the Diaz brothers, they probably did. It's not how he sounds, whatever. That's why I haven't done a Tony Montana impression at all yet in this whole video. But he said, you fucking cockroach. And the whole way that builds to him just begging for his life on his knees, saying, just please don't kill me. And I'm not going to kill you. Says to Manny, shoot that piece of shit. Shoots him, and then he ends up shooting and killing Mo, too. I love Mo's delivery of don't go too far, Tony. He shoots him, says, you can't shoot a cop. Whoever said you was one? That's not an impression, that's just me saying the words. What about Ernie? Yo, man, he got a job! So then Tony ends up scooping up Elvira and taking her with him. He moves into his giant mansion, and how iconic is the whole look of the inside and outside of this place with his fortress, and he has just like mad surveillance cameras everywhere, but it still don't save him in the end. His chair that he sits in, I mean, this is just one of the greatest films ever. All his arguments with Elvira are great. When he's in the jacuzzi, look at the pelican, fly pelican. His argument with Manny and starts screaming at him like, I put this together. You go, who built this? Me. That's who. So we see power, greed, and cocaine taking over Tony Montana's life. Then what happens to him is the thing you never want to happen to you as a drug lord. Being caught on camera washing money. So Manny sets him up with this Seidelbaum guy because the banks are raising rates on him and fucking him on his money. And they end up going to Seidelbaum, who it's a sting operation. And they end up catching him with Kula. They put that in there. But I'm telling you right now, I would have noticed. I definitely would have noticed. Because I have this weird thing that any place I go into, I scan like all around. Like I notice the exits, the security cameras, everything. And at some point, and you're getting bored in there, you're looking at the time, man. And it's going to be weird where one of the numbers is missing. And it looks like an obvious camera. I don't know, but they get caught. And he might have to do prison time. So Sosa ends up saying, we might be able to help you. You don't have to do prison, pay some back taxes and fines and shit, but you'll be good. And he sends him with the Shadow to kill the guy who is going around trying to expose all the drug lords. Then we get another tense scene with Mark Margolis, the Shadow, and with the bomb that he put under the guy's car. And at least it shows Tony does have a little bit of a conscience. A little bit. Like, he won't kill a kid. He just said, you didn't say anything about kids. He was thinking it was just this guy himself. And he doesn't do it. And he ends up killing the hitman. And now Sosa's pissed. So he absolutely started a war now that I don't know. Do you think he really thinks in his mind that he has a chance against Sosa? I mean, I don't know how, in his twisted head, yeah. But deep down, do you think there's any like real feelings there that he can actually take on the biggest cocaine lord like that there is? Like, he's outnumbered so heavily. I don't know. I've always wondered that. Does any part of him really seriously think that he's not completely screwed the second he killed that hitman? As soon as he killed that hitman, he probably thought to himself, I just signed my death warrant. Like, Sosa's going to come. I'm outnumbered. I'm going to get killed. What do you think? Another Quaalude, he'll love me again in the morning. So say goodnight to the bad guy. Just endless quotes. Oops, almost completely skipped over when Tony walks outside, looks up at the sky, and sees the blimp that says the world is yours. Great tie-in with him saying what he wants earlier on in the movie with Manny in the car. He wants the world and everything in it. And just seeing that there, reinforcing it into his mind. And then when he had that mansion built and stuff, he has the statue that's of the world. And it says, the world is yours. Just, I can't say enough about the writing, everything in this film. And man, just the lines from the mom, her line to Tony. And then he storms out and heads over to, where Gina and Manny are living. And just says to him, like, why do you hurt everything you touch? Why do you destroy everything that comes your way? The way she delivers those lines, it's chilling with the music swelling up. And then we just get the heartbreaking scene, man, when Tony gets there and sees Gina, his sister, with Manny. And he's so messed up in the head, man, after that conversation with his mom and being talked down to like that. And you know that you're going to get killed soon because you fucked things up with Sosa. He just kills Manny. And she says, we just got married yesterday. We were going to tell you. And her performance of freaking out on him is so good. And then we see him just crumbling completely. He has so much cocaine in front of him on that desk. It's not even funny. And that's why they say, never get high on your own supply. Unless your supply is just for personal use, then get high as you want. And this dude's sniffing mad cocaine. Like, he puts his face into there. He has probably like 1.5 grams on his nose alone. So he's probably sniffing 4 or 5 grams at a time by going into that pile. Like, that's absolutely insane. It explains, like, I don't know how well, but that he's able to take, like, I don't know, like 100 bullets by the end of this movie. So Sosa's men arrive, and I love the dude, the badass, who kills Tony with the blackout dark shades and just the fucking pump shotgun. He's so terrifying. in this movie. And what a great way to take down somebody. That is thinking smart. That's like another great decision. Go in through the front with a ton of people and just have one guy come through the back while that are distracted, in the front, taking care of all those people. Just blow his fucking brains out, blow him through the heart, kill him. Done. Job over. War is declared finished. And that's exactly what they do here. But Gina's scene when she comes in, like I said, it gets a little weird, saying like that Tony wants to fuck her, and she starts saying "fuck me, Tony." But the music, man, the score for this scene is just amazing. Just the melody, man. It's so well written. And then she tries shooting at Tony, and then she ends up getting blown away by the guy on the balcony. Oh, that's heartbreaking. And his performance when he's up against Gina's dead body, and he's saying like, "I love Manny, I love you too," and like, "I'll be right back," and stuff, and thinking like so warped and drugged out that he thinks she's still alive. What an amazing performance there in that little scene too. You gotta give it to Tony, though. He takes out a fuck ton of people. Like, more than you would think that an average person could. Better batting average than you would presume for most people. This guy takes out a lot of soldiers here. And we get the infamous line, "Say hello to my little friend." Boom. Blows up, kills a bunch of them just right there. And then he just gets riddled with, like I said, like a million bullets. This fucker is not standing. After any of this, I don't care how much cocaine he's on. There is no way that Tony Montana is surviving a quarter of the bullets that he's riddled with at the end of this movie. But it all looks fantastic, so it doesn't matter. And then the guy comes up behind him and just blows him away with the shotgun. Falls under the statue. The world is yours. He's in the fucking fountain. What a great ending. Just the score as it ends. And then, that's right, the film's dedicated to Howard Hawks and Ben Hake. Or Height, I don't know how you pronounce it. Hecht? Hetch? Doesn't matter. But they're the ones who wrote the original Scarface. So that's cool that they dedicated it to them. What an absolute masterpiece. This is just one of the greatest movies. This is just one of the greatest performances and greatest fictional characters in a film. So that's Scarface from 1983, Brian De Palma. And yeah, I sat through 3 hours, and we're going to do it again Friday night. I can watch this movie anytime, anywhere. Are you serious? Alright guys, I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care everybody.